Please subscribe my channel. The bedroom was cloaked in a muted glow, shadows stretching across the walls, the familiar comfort of home tainted by the reckless pulse of my betrayal. Ethan, my husband of 6 years, was supposed to be on another grueling night shift as a paramedic. His absences had become routine, the exhaustion etched into his face, leaving him distant and quiet, a stranger in the same house. That night, craving something I told myself was missing, I invited Caleb over, an old friend I had reconnected with at a reunion, a connection that should have ended with a polite hug and goodbye, but instead spiraled into something dangerous. I told myself it was only a moment of escape, a secret indulgence in the silence Ethan left behind. Caleb and I were tangled in sheets that weren't ours to share when the door flew open. The sight of Ethan standing there froze the air in my lungs. His expression was not just shock, it was heartbreak wrapped in fury. Caleb scrambled, fumbling for his clothes, while Ethan's eyes bore into me as if he didn't recognize the woman in front of him. His voice cracked when he whispered my name, Sarah, but his body moved with purpose, his hand reaching toward the gun safe by the dresser. My heart stopped when the cold steel glinted in his trembling hands. His voice dropped, low and dangerous, as he ordered Caleb to leave. I screamed at him to stop, to put it away, but fear overtook Caleb. He bolted for the door, and in that split second the gun went off. The sound split the air. Caleb collapsed instantly, his blood soaking into the carpet of our bedroom, the same room that had once held our dreams. I fell apart, sobbing, my cries filling the silence that followed. Ethan stared at his own hands as though they belonged to someone else, the gun slipping from his grip as his face turned pale. "You did this," he said hollowly, his eyes empty, before fumbling for his phone and calling 911. Sirens screamed minutes later. Police stormed the house, Caleb's body was carried out, and Ethan was led away in handcuffs. I sat numbly on the couch as the life we had built together unraveled in a single night. Our morning coffees, our plans for children, our laughter, gone in the space between a gunshot and a betrayal. The days that followed blurred together, every hour thick with guilt and grief. The bedroom was now marked a crime scene, our home a place I could no longer bear to enter. I stayed with my sister, hollow and ashamed. Ethan was charged with manslaughter, his trial a shadow looming over us both. I visited him in jail once, the air heavy with silence between us. His eyes, once warm, were now cold and distant. "Why?" he asked me. I had no answer, only tears. The truth was ugly. My selfish need for validation, the loneliness I convinced myself justified reaching for Caleb, the lies I told myself to mask what I was doing. Ethan had been working long hours not because he didn't care, but because he wanted to give us a future. I was too blind, too restless to see it. When the trial came, I testified. My voice trembled as I admitted what I had done, each word burning in my throat as eyes across the courtroom judged me. Ethan pleaded guilty, his lawyer arguing emotional distress, pointing to my betrayal as the spark that set the fire. The verdict was brutal, 7 years in prison. My affair had not only taken Caleb's life, but it had shackled Ethan's future. Friends drifted away, disgust in their eyes, whispers in their voices. I was left with the wreckage, haunted by the image of Caleb bleeding on the floor, haunted by Ethan's stare, haunted by my own selfishness. I tried to find footing in the aftermath. Therapy became my anchor, a place where I unraveled the truth about myself, the insecurities I fed with attention, the way I painted Ethan as absent so I could excuse my choices, the silence I chose instead of honesty. My sister did her best to comfort me, but guilt was my constant companion, a shadow that lingered no matter how much light I sought. Caleb's family filed a lawsuit, their grief searing, their anger justified. I couldn't escape the consequences, nor should I. I wrote to Ethan often, pages of apologies, of longing, of regret. He never replied. Months later, I visited him again. He looked thinner, his face drawn, his eyes no longer holding the man I once knew. "I loved you," he said quietly, almost to himself. Then after a pause, "You broke me." I nodded through my tears, because he was right. I had shattered him, shattered us. In the solitude of a small apartment, I tried to atone. I volunteered, seeking redemption in giving what I had once taken for granted. I kept his photo, one from years before, where we were smiling, alive with hope. One night I stared at it until the tears came, realizing fully what I had traded away. A fleeting thrill had cost me everything: Caleb's life, Ethan's freedom, and my own soul. Ethan's gun may have ended Caleb, but it was my betrayal that had loaded the chamber. That night was the end of the life we knew, and I was left with nothing but the unbearable weight of regret.